All right. Even and odd functions. Uh, Even functions are those with symmetry about y-axis. The function is a mirror image of itself with respect to the y-axis. So algebraically that means f of negative x equals f of x. Okay? So how do we decide if the function is even or odd? If you are given the graph, this is what you do. So use the y-axis, divide your graph into two pieces, okay, using the y-axis. Then take one side and use y-axis as a mirror and flip it on the other side, okay. Then are you getting the same piece? Then it is called even function. Okay, in this case, let's say use this y-axis, you have this right side. If you were to fold this paper over y-axis, would you get the other side, right? So looks like we would. So therefore this function is an even function. So we're going to look at the algebraic method here, okay. So let's move on. What's odd function? It's kind of harder to understand this odd function. Odd functions are those with rotational symmetry about the origin. Algebraically, that means f of negative x equals negative f of x. Okay, if you are given a function, that is the easiest way of checking if it is odd or not. Again, use the y-axis as a divider. Take either right side or left side. So I'm going to take the right side. Okay, so this way I have this piece. When you flip it over x-axis and then y-axis, are you getting the other piece? Okay, so when you reflect this piece over the x-axis, I get this, correct? Then I'm going to take it and reflect it over the y-axis, I get that. Then I know that that's an odd function. Okay, so it's also said that it's like that point A, let's say you have point A here, when rotated 180 degree about the origin, so you rotate that point 180 degree, so you get this point. Okay, therefore it's called rotational symmetry. But I think it is easier to check it using the reflection. Reflect over the x, reflect over the y-axis to see if that is the odd function. So algebraically, if f of negative x equals negative f of x, okay. So now we have two examples to use this algebraic method. The first example, we have f of x equals x squared over x to the power of 4 plus 1. Now we're going to check if it is even or odd function. So what did it say? It says f of negative x equals f of x. If that is true, then we have an even function. So then we need to calculate f of negative x here. Okay, f of negative x. That's what we're going to do. When you're doing it, be very careful when you're substituting negative x in the function. So if it is confusing for you, I recommend you to put brackets around x, then substitute negative x in those brackets. Okay, so what do I have? I have one bracket here and one bracket here. Okay, so I replace those brackets with negative x now, negative x, and let's simplify. Okay, so let's remember, if the base is negative value and if you have an even exponent, you end up with a positive number. When you have a negative base but with an odd exponent, you end up with a negative number. Okay, so in this case, negative x is the base, negative value, but it has an even exponent. So this is gonna be then positive value, so x squared. Okay, same thing with x, negative x to the power of 4. So base is negative, however the exponent is an even exponent, so then you end up with positive. Then now check if f of x equals f of negative x. F of x is here and f of negative x is here. Are they the same? Yes, right? So f of x equals f of negative x. Therefore, this function is even. Okay? It is even function. Let's look at the second example. This time we have g of x equals x cubed minus x. We want to check if this is an even or odd function. Again, the first step, we are going to calculate g of negative x. Okay. Again, I'm going to put brackets around x to see, okay, where to substitute. So you have two brackets. So I'm replacing those brackets with negative x. So you have negative x cubed. The exponent is odd. Therefore, you end up with a negative value. So this is equal to negative x cubed. And you have negative times negative x, positive x. Now check if g of x equals g of negative x. Are they the same? Not really, right? One is x cubed minus x, the other one is negative x cubed plus x. They are not the same. Then this is not even. Then I'm going to go check if it is odd. So what was the condition for odd? If f of negative x equals negative f of x. Okay, I already calculated f of negative x. Now looks like I need to calculate negative f of x. Okay, so in this case negative g of x. So let's calculate that. So negative, okay, so I'm going to open a big bracket and put the whole g of x in here. Make sure you use bracket, otherwise you will not get the right answer. G of x was x cubed minus x. Okay, now again make sure you use the bracket here. Now distribute that negative sign, you get negative x cubed plus x. Now check if g of negative x equals negative g of x. They are two different things, right? Are they the same in this case? Yes, they are. So since g of negative x equals negative g of x, okay, so therefore it is an odd function. It is odd. Okay. Functions don't have to be even or odd. Sometimes they are not even, they are not odd, then we call it neither.